of the early chapters, we talk about Upton's mother. We talked about a little bit in the film. Became a very famous Broadway actress, went to Hollywood. And were it not for her love of pro football, there would have been no Burt Bell involved with pro football, because back in those days, as Upton said earlier, college football was king. Pro football was really looked down upon. It was most guys who were successful college players, a lot of them did not play pro football because it was, first off, they had to get a job that actually paid the money, which for the most part pro football didn't. But Upton's mother, and he can tell you the story as he does in the book, was onto something with pro football and told your dad what?
Well, basically, get with it. The pro game is it. And again, you're looking at history here. And by the way, the NFL did a whole thing on this, and more will be at the 100th anniversary of the founding of the league. Francis Upton, and we get into it in the book. Francis Upton was a 15 or 16-year-old high school student working at the perfume counter in Macy's in New York, which now could go under, but who doesn't today? And a talent scout for the Shubert Theaters walked in and said, "You're a very beautiful young woman. How old are you?" She said, 16. "What do you do?" And she said, "Well, I'm a ballerina, but I'm in high school." And he said, "Here's my card. If you ever are interested, we would be interested in you." 4 years later, at the age of 20, she was a star on Broadway in all of the big things. And my mother introduced a song, if you look it up, called "Making Whoopee" with Eddie Cantor in the Ziegfeld Follies. She was engaged later on in her 20s to the most famous man in America, financier in America at the time, his son, Bernard Baruch, who knew everybody, was part of Franklin Roosevelt's thing. She broke the engagement. She had met my father at a party with Charles Lindbergh. And she said, "I really like you a lot." Make a long story short, she said, "But you drink too much. I'll have nothing to do with a drunk." And he said to her a year later, "If you marry me, I'll never drink again." And he never did. Never a drink again in his life. They got married. They walked down. She wrote a check for $3,200. The day that they got married, they went down to Philadelphia City Hall. They bought the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets out of bankruptcy, and they had the team. They went on a honeymoon with the football team, which Ron found in Ventnor, New Jersey. The honeymoon was spent with the football team working out on the front lawn in Ventnor. And my mother said, "Well, Bert, something like, 'Can't you tell me you love me?' or whatever else he is." He said, "Francis, I'd love you if I only had a kicker." That's a true story. And so that started the whole thing. At the time, his father was the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, owned all of the biggest hotels in Philadelphia. His brother later became the governor and Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, which helped him with all the laws that were put in the NFL. But basically, the thing that changed pro football forever, and I tell people this in the league and everything else, if Burt Bell didn't invent the pro football draft, which everybody else uses, nobody would be working today. Because with that draft, it changed. The Chicago Bears, the Washington Redskins, the Green Bay Packers, New York Giants dominated pro football. There's no draft. You went out and signed in the offseason the best players, and of course, the also-rans like Burt Bell and the Eagles and Art Rooney and the Steelers, they couldn't make it. He came up with the idea of the pro football draft, drafting with the worst teams first and so on and so forth. The first draft was held in Philadelphia at his hotel, which the NFL showed last year. The hotel is no longer there, but the spot is now a huge pizza parlor. But at that time, everybody, Cesar Romero, Robert, Bob Hope, all of the great performers in the country at that time came to his father's hotel. His father let him throw the first professional football draft there. They invited everybody, and nobody came. It was announced in the papers a couple of days later, but in that draft was, at the time, the most famous coach in America. Later on, Bear Bryant decided never to play. All they did is get a blackboard, put the names up there, read out of the books, and I'm not so sure it's any different than today when they do the computers and all the crap on ESPN. That draft produced 5 NFL Hall of Famers, and all they did is go to a book and write the names down. That's how simple it was. So that was kind of the beginning of pro football and the way the game was saved.